Guys, we have a big breaking news coming out. Do me a favor and share this video. Once again, thank you so much for your support. The Pentagon chief warns the Red Dragon preparing to use military force in Asia. This is a huge wake-up call. He is sounding the alarm on this one here. And we have more breaking news. Once again, the Pentagon chief says Asian allies should quickly upgrade their defenses. Something big is about to hit the fan in the South China Sea. Alright guys, before I start, for those of you that want to send us letters or prayer requests, you can send it to me, US Santiago, or my wife Jessica Santiago at 3432 US Highway 19, number 2, Holiday, Florida 34691. And for those of you that want to contribute to the channel, we do have the Cash App link and the PayPal link in the comments box and also description box. Thank you so much for your support. Alright, so it says here, U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete called Saturday on Washington Asian allies and partners to rapidly boost their military spending in the face of the threat from the Red Dragon. U.S. allies in the Indo-Pacific can and should quickly upgrade their own defenses, the Pentagon chief said at Singapore, adding that deterrence doesn't come on a cheap. All right, so once again, this is a big breaking news here, guys. The Pentagon chief, Pete, is sounding the alarm. Now we're going to go with this next news. I believe Donald, the U.S. president, he doesn't want to get involved in Ukraine. That's Europe and all them. So, but I think Donald is more focused on this one here. And the reason why? Well, again, he wants to bring down the Red Dragon, China. All right, so let's start with this one here. U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete warned Saturday that the Red Dragon was credibly preparing to use military force to upend the balance of power in Asia, vowing the U.S. was here to stay in the Indo-Pacific region. The Pentagon chief made the remarks at an annual security forum in Singapore as the administration of U.S. President spars with Beijing on trade, technology, and influence over strategic corners of the globe. Like I said, Donald is more focused on this one here. Because what do you gain? What do you gain from Ukraine? What do you gain out of that? Nothing. Donald is focused on this one here because, Taiwan is like one of the biggest chip makers in the world. And just taking over China, like literally, I should have never said it like that. But winning the biblical war against the Red Dragon means something big for the U.S. Winning the war against the bear is it's nothing. The Pentagon chief made the remarks at an annual security forum in Singapore, once again as the administration of U.S. President spars with the Red Dragon on trade, technology, and influence over strategic corners of the globe. Now, since taking office in January, U.S. President has launched a trade war with the Red Dragon sought to curb its access to key AI technology and deepen security ties with allies such as the Philippines, which is engaged in escalating territorial dispute with the Red Dragon. Now, the warnings the threat Red Dragon poses is real and could be imminent, Pete said at the Sangri attended by defense officials from around the world. The Red Dragon is credibly preparing to potentially use military force to alter the balance of power in the Indo-Pacific. Now, Pete warned that the Red Dragon military was building the capability to invade Taiwan and rehearsing for the real deal. Once again, the Red Dragon has ramped up military pressure on the island and held multiple large-scale exercises around the world, often described as preparation for a blockade or invasion. Now, the sleeping giant was reiterating towards deterring aggression by the Red Dragon. Now, you have Pete said calling on U.S. allies and partners in Asia to swiftly upgrade their defenses in the face of mounting warnings. All right, so once again, guys, we are definitely seeing tensions rising between these nations. And the Red Dragon is a big, powerful military and also economy in the world. I mean, we are number one, but the Red Dragon is no Iraq. The Red Dragon is not Iran. The Red Dragon is a very powerful. They do have a powerful military. I know a lot of people in the army here in the U.S. I had a good friend of mine said that he went to China and military exercise and stuff like that. And he said that he's seen those Red Dragon soldiers, those Chinese soldiers. He's like, I don't know what people are talking about, that they like 5'5" and 120 pounds. That's all baloney. Don't listen to those people, Louis. Those soldiers are, again, huge and like 6 foot and like 200 something pounds. I mean, they muscle. They don't show weakness. See, here in the Sleeping Giants, something happened to our beloved Sleeping Giant land. They transformed the Sleeping Giant military. Remember, guys, for the past couple of years, you had Joey. He added the abomination. You got certain possibly Sleeping Giant soldiers wearing high heels. I mean, what is that, man? And you had someone, again, I don't want to say so much, I mean too much, but Donald came in and put a stop to that. And he said, man, we're not going to have that in the military. Now, there are some soldiers, obesity. That's the big problem here in the Sleeping Giant. And so, I mean, there's some stuff going on like that. And we used to be a Sleeping Giant land that our military was powerful. But throughout times, well, the Looney Tunes took over and weakened the Sleeping Giant military. Now you have other country, their military seems like it's a lot stronger. Alright, so it says here, we're going to go with the next one. Wake up call. Pete described the Red Dragon conduct as a wake up call, accusing the Red Dragon of endangering lives with cyber, harassing its neighbors, and illegally seizing and militarizing lands in the South Red Dragon Sea. Now, once again, the Red Dragon claims almost the entire disputed waterway through which more than 60% of global maritime trade passes, despite an international ruling that its assertion has no merit. It has clashed repeatedly with the Philippines in the strategic waters in recent months, with a flashpoint set to dominate discussions at the Singapore Defense Forum, according to U.S. officials. As Pete spoke in Singapore, the Red Dragon military announced that its Navy and Air Force were carrying out routine combat readiness patrols around the Scarborough, a chain of reefs, and rocks Beijing dispute with the Philippines. The Red Dragon assertiveness in the South Red Dragon Sea has only increased in recent years. Casey Mace charged the affairs at the U.S. Embassy in Singapore told journalists ahead of the meeting. It says here, I think that this type of forum is exactly the type of forum where we need to have an exchange on that. Now, the Red Dragon has not sent any top defense ministry officials to the summit, dispatching delegation from the People Liberation Army National Defense University instead. Pete hard-hitting address drew a critical reaction from the Red Dragon analysts at the conference. So you have Da Wei, director of the Center for International Security and Strategy. I'm gonna skip that name. Told reporters the speech was very unfriendly and very confrontational, accusing Washington of double standards and demanding the Red Dragon respect its neighbors while bullying its own, including Canada and Greenland. Wow. The former senior colonel, Zhu, from the Center for International Security and Strategy at the university, told AFP that training drills did not mean the Red Dragon would invade Taiwan, saying that the Gov wanted peaceful reunification. Here's the thing. The Red Dragon does the military drill around Taiwan, which they are sending a message. That's what it is. Again, the Red Dragon cannot say just because we have our military around Taiwan doesn't mean that we're going to invade. No, but you're sending a message. You're sending a message, future invasion. Pete comments came after U.S. President stoked new trade tensions with the Red Dragon, arguing that the Red Dragon had violated a deal to de-escalate tariffs as the two sides appear deadlocked in negotiations. Now, the world's two biggest economies had agreed to temporarily lower eye-watering tariffs they had imposed on each other, pausing them for 90 days. But on Friday, Donald wrote on his Truth Social platform, the Red Dragon, perhaps not surprisingly to some, has totally violated its agreement with us without providing details. It's not looking good. With spoken of peace and safety, sudden destruction shall follow. Donald thought that everything was going to be good with the Red Dragon, but again, you can't trust no one. You can't trust no one. Priority theater. Reassuring U.S. allies on Saturday, Pete said the Indo-Pacific was America's priority. There you go. In other words, Ukraine, it's not priority. All right, all those other regions, it's not priority. This here is priority, and the reason why is because it's the Red Dragon. And you know, Donald, he's trying to put a stop to the Red Dragon. It says here, pledging to ensure the Red Dragon cannot dominate us or our allies and partners. He said that the sleeping giant has stepped up cooperation with allies, including the Philippines and Japan, and reiterated Donald's vow that the Red Dragon will not invade Taiwan on his watch. But he called on U.S. partners in the region to ramp up spending on their militaries and quickly upgrade their defense, our own defenses. Asian allies should look to countries in Europe for a newfound example, P said, citing pledges by NATO members, including Germany, to move towards Donald's spending targets of 5% of GDP. Deterrence doesn't come on the cheap. All right, so once again, this is where we are right now. So you have Pentagon chief warns that the Red Dragon preparing to use military force in Asia. And we heard this many times. The question is when? When is that going to happen? Give me a second here, guys. I mean, we heard it many times. Iran is 2 weeks away from nuclear. And we heard it for the past couple of years now. Give me a second here. If you can, please share the video. All right, so so far, this is where we at right now. So Pete is really sounding the alarm. Sounding the alarm on this one. Now, guys, remember I mentioned about the abomination? Alright, so the sleeping giant military, it was impacted under Joe and his buddy, the 44th. The sleeping giant is giving all, who military service members in the US until June 6th to voluntarily resign. After that, the military is expected to begin involuntarily separation for active duty, who service members who remain. It's so sad that we have to do this because it should have never, ever, ever been passed. I mean, look, like I say, guys, sleeping giant military was meant for, again, when it comes to strong, all right? So, again, I believe that, celebrating or supporting the abomination, it is a sin, and it leads to destruction. Scripture tells us that it leads towards destruction. We have seen it many times. Celebrating these things, or Peter, the way Peter says it, or Jesus, those who practice these things will not inherit the kingdom of heaven. And so you shouldn't be practicing those things, and we shouldn't be having those things in the sleeping giant military or even in the spotlights. I do believe what's going on here, it's a sin problem. That's what's going on. There is a sin problem that is rising in our sleeping giant and across the world. The sin problem is on steroids now. We are definitely seeing the level of Sodom and Gomorrah, and we need to put a stop to it. We need, something is wrong here. We can't be doing this. It's not right. It's not right. This is opposite. It's like two magnets. You try to put it together, and it doesn't work. It was not meant to, be as one. People need to start reading their scriptures. Those who practice those things, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. But Lewis, the Pope said you will. No. Stop listening to that, man. Those are false teachers. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please share the video. For those of you that want to send us letters or prayer requests, you can send it to me, Luis Santiago, or my wife, Jessica Santiago, at 3432 US Highway 19, number 2, Holiday, Florida, 34691. Once again, guys, $5 a month Patreon. We get you access to our live stream once a week. We talk about things that we cannot talk about on the platform. Also, I posted videos today. Those links will be in the comments box. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you all. Put faith and trust in Jesus Christ, for He's the only way, the truth, and the life. No one gets to the Father except through Jesus. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time later. Peace.